Area shadows are a more realistic alternative to shadow maps. They don't respect transparency, but area shadows do respect distance. I've got a slightly modified version of my logo here, in which you can see part of the logo is very close to the backdrop and part of it is pretty far away from the backdrop. Let's do a rendering of this with just default shadow maps. Click on Render. And you can see, although I've got a little bit of a soft edge to the shadow, it's a consistently soft edge across the entire surface here. To be more convincing, what we would want is a sharp shadow here and a softer shadow over here. And I can do that using advanced ray trace shadows, and I can also use area shadows, which are a little bit faster to calculate. I'll select the light and go to the Modify panel, and I want to choose area shadows as my shadow type. Click on that. I'll go up here and re-render this view. And that's a default area shadow. You can see that it's sharper here and softer over here. The quality isn't that good, but we will change that up. I'd also like to show you how to use region render so that you can render just part of a frame and not have to wait for the entire thing to render each time. I can go up here and make sure that I've chosen the camera view, and I'll lock that view so that that's the only thing that will render, regardless of what I have selected in the viewport. I'll go over here to Area to Render, and I'll choose Region. And now I get a red box around my rendering, and I can resize that box to enclose just the area that I need to render. I'll click the Render button. You'll see that's the only part that renders. Now I'll go back to my light parameters, and I'll start adjusting the area shadow parameters. I'll open up the area shadows rollout, and you'll see the basic options here. Rectangle light. The light itself is a point source, but for the purposes of shadow calculation, the light is considered to have some area, and we can choose different shapes for that area, rectangle, disc, and so on. And the size is controlled by these dimensions here. The larger the area light dimensions are, the softer the shadows will be overall. If I set this to a value of, let's say, 24 inches, press the Tab key and 24 inches, click Render over here and it'll just render that region again. Now you can see I'm getting a much softer result. To control the quality, I'll have to go up here to the anti-aliasing options. The integrity is essentially the accuracy of the shadow. I'll set that integrity up to, let's say, a value of 5, and click Render to render that region again. And you can see that although it's looking kind of grainy, it's more accurate. To improve the graininess, I'll go over here to Shadow Quality and set it to a value of, let's say, 10. And as you can see, it takes longer to render. Every shot that you do is going to need to be tuned. The shadows are going to be slightly different in each situation. And so that means you'll need to go in here and adjust these values. That's how you can set the area shadow parameters to get good results.